With hundreds of paddles out on the market, finding the right one can be overwhelming. Everyone has their own preferences, probably a Yola Perseus Pro 4, but is that actually the best paddle for them? There's no best paddle at every single aspect, but there are characteristics that do make a difference. I'll break down everything you need to know to find your perfect paddle. I'll cover things like shape, thickness, weight, etc. At the end of the series, you should know exactly what to look for according to your playstyle, skill level, and preferences. Today, we're gonna go over paddle shape. When you look at a pickleball paddle, the first thing you probably notice is the shape. So that's what we're gonna start with. The shape can influence a lot of things like hand speed, sweet spot size, power, etc. And I do think there's an optimal paddle shape for your playstyle and what you're trying to achieve. Most paddles fall into three categories: elongated, standard shape, or hybrid. Each has their own strengths and weaknesses, and the right choice depends on what you prioritize in your game. Just please don't be one of the normies who only play with elongated paddles because they like to look better. I heard too many people say that standard shape paddles look like frying pans, and that's the pure reason they want to use elongated paddles. At least know what you're getting yourself into before you choose. So in today's paddle climate, elongated paddles are by far the most popular. Elongated paddles are a bit longer and more narrow than other paddles. This gives you more reach because of the extra length, and also more power because there's more leverage. Because of how physics works, the sweet spot is higher and a little bit thinner. If you couldn't tell already, I'm not the biggest elongated paddle fan in terms of doubles, but the three main advantages are it's longer, so more reach. You can typically hit more power and better drives. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people choose it because of the looks, but another thing people like doing a lot is hitting the ball as hard as they can, and elongated shapes are the best at doing that. The standard shaped paddle, and wide bodies as well, are more square shaped and shorter in length. Because the paddle is shorter and wider, the sweet spot is actually increased, which is really important in doubles. Pickleball is a game of errors, and whoever makes more will typically lose. So having a larger sweet spot will just increase your chances of hitting a decent ball/reset, and you'll minimize points lost from hitting a dead spot or the edge of your paddle. Also, since the weight's closer to your handle, because it's not as long, you do have quicker hand speed. You can use the common hammer analogy. If you hold the head of a hammer, it's a lot easier to swing versus holding the handle and then you have a lot of weight on top. To reiterate, the typical advantages of a standard shaped paddle are larger sweet spot size and faster hand speed. Those characteristics are very important, especially in doubles. The hybrid shapes combine elements of both the standard shape and the elongated. There's no one shape that every paddle company uses, so there are some slight differences, but in general, a hybrid shape will be somewhere in between an elongated and a standard shape. In the case of the Carbon 4, it's closer to a standard shape paddle in size, but for other brands, it might be closer to the elongated side. Like the name suggests, it's kind of a mix of both. A bit longer than the standard shape, so you get a little bit more reach and power, but also a little bit wider and shorter, so a larger sweet spot and faster hand speed than an elongated paddle. So the million-dollar question is, which shape should you choose? My honest opinion is, if you're newer to pickleball, I would say you should start with a standard shape paddle and maybe a hybrid. It's just the most forgiving and will help you play your best. It's not going to be as flashy as a powerful elongated paddle. That being said, nowadays, I don't think paddle shape matters as much in terms of power compared to the paddle itself. If you get a standard shaped power paddle, it will hit harder than a control or even all court elongated paddle. We'll go over the different types in next episode, like power, control, all court, but just want to start out with shape since that's what you see first. Long story short, if you play primarily doubles, which is probably most of you, I would highly recommend a standard shaped paddle and maybe a hybrid if you really care about that extra reach and power. I see too many lower level players with elongated power paddles just hitting all their balls out and missing easy resets. I will say, if you do play a lot of singles and you want the extra reach and power and you don't want to get two separate paddles, then maybe the elongated shape is for you. Or if your game revolves around driving the ball a lot and banging. I just don't want you to be that guy who just chooses their paddle shape based on looks. On my pickle list, you can filter on shape and find the best paddles per shape. In the next episode, we'll go over control paddles versus power paddles and which one you should choose. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out my pickle list to see community ratings of all your favorite paddles. Make sure to join my Discord for the best pickleball Discord out there. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time.